Welcome, everyone. With big welcome to Lisa, Melissa, Deborah, Shweta, Becky, Monveer, everyone joining from all over the world. It is Lindsay and I here from our headquarters in the US, and we're super excited to chat with you today. Do us a huge favor because this is going to be a very interactive session. Let us know where you're calling from right in the chat. So Lindsay's coming in from NYC. I'm coming in from Silicon Valley. We've got Serena in Houston, Abby in Austin, Sylvia in Boston. Oh my goodness. It's like too fast for me to read here, Lindsay. This is like an eye test. I got to give a big shout out to Elizabeth from Buffalo, my hometown. Go Bills. We've got Syracuse in the house, Western Kentucky over with Brian. Thank you so much for joining. Whether you're a job seeker, whether you're a career coach, you are in the right place because we are about to dive real deep, not just on all the classical conventional wisdom around job searching, but the stuff that actually works. So, first of all, huge shout out to my co host, Lindsay, for making this possible. As you know, Lindsay is probably one of the hardest working women in the entire career world. She's giving speeches to clients like Google and Goldman Sachs. She's published four amazing books, including a new update of College to Career. And I have to give Lindsay a huge shout out because she got me excited about this world in the first place back when I was working at LinkedIn. Lindsay was our incredible education and career guru, and she would work with so many great universities around the world to spread the gospel of job searching the right way. So I'm super excited to be joined by Lindsay today. Lindsay, anything else you want to add on your side?
Jeremy, I'm a huge fan. I learned everything there is to know about AI from you, Jeremy. I am so thrilled that all of you are joining us. Our entire goal today is to be helpful and to give you good value and answer your questions. So we are so excited to be in the chat and to speak with you and coach you and to keep in touch afterwards. So thank you all for joining. And Jeremy, thank you for making this all happen.
Ooh, so excited. What a good way to kick off the new year. And I got to tell you, you have come to something that is not quite your standard webinar. And you guys have been in all those webinars where you kind of turn off your brain a little bit, do a little multitasking. No way. Lindsay and I are not going to waste your time that way. Instead, we're going to ask for a lot. The first thing we're going to ask for is I know for a lot of you who've graduated 10 or 20 years ago, we're going to ask you to go back to your student days to answer some pop quizzes. Don't worry, they won't be graded. It's all in the name of learning. We would especially love for you to volunteer for some live demos because there's no better way to learn these techniques than by doing them and burning them into your muscle memory. And as a special prize, anyone who volunteers for a live demo will get a free LinkedIn profile makeover from yours truly, one of the leaders of LinkedIn's education team. So a great chance to really stand out, start the new year right. And then finally, most importantly, even if you don't want to volunteer, no worries. Just do us the biggest favor of all, which is take action. Try these things on your screen, have them start working for you immediately. And with that said, let's start with the first pop quiz. So obviously in 2024 and now in 2025, mental health has been a big part of our discourse, whether it's in the career, whether it's at home. And I want to be really honest with you. Job searching is probably one of the hardest things that any of us has to do because we're putting ourselves out there to be judged by others, which is super tough. So, if you had to guess, what percentage of job seekers in the most recent survey say their hunt has actually harmed their mental health? Is it A, 51%, B, 72%, or C, 93%? And Lindsay, I'm seeing a ton of answers flooding in here. Tammy's
A
saying
lot of B's
C,
and
a
C's.
lot of
Yeah.
B's and C's. Yeah, people have been there for sure. We've all been there. Well, it turns out the answer is B. There's a whole spectrum of sort of experiences where it's been tough, but I got over it. It's this huge sort of dark cloud that hangs over my head every time I search, and sort of really tackle some of these feelings, tackle that mindset piece before we even get into the job search. What Lindsay and I would love to do is to have someone volunteer by raising your hand right inside Zoom. Click that hand raise button. If you're struggling with that first step of getting started, we'll chat with you a little bit, help you tackle some of those challenges, and give you a free profile review right after the session. So our first volunteer is going to be Xiaomin. So Xiaomin, thank you so much for volunteering. Feel free to unmute your line. And then everyone give Xiaomin a ton of love in the chat for being our brave first volunteer. Welcome, Xiaomin. Thank you so much for volunteering today. Hi
Hi
there.
everyone, my name is Xiaomin.
Hi, how are you?
Um, I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing well, doing well. So Xiaomin, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you are in your sort of career journey, and then Lindsay's going to give you a little advice
Taking
to get you
notes.
rolling.
I'm looking for entry-level roles in finance right now. I have worked at Bank of China and Quantitative Bank, so I worked at two banks before. I got laid off twice.
Hmm.
So I'm looking for a new role right now. And I have a degree in English.
Wow. Xiaomin, first of all, I want you to know that other people here, including myself, have been in that same boat. We've had that chance to find a really good job, to get laid off. We know how sort of depressing that can feel, frankly. That being said, I know that Lindsay has some good strategies to get your head in a good place as you begin that next stage of finding the next role. So, where would you recommend Xiaomin start, Lindsay?
So, Xiaomin, you've been laid off from a finance role and you're interested in
Một người
landing
kìa,
a new role in
lu kia
finance?
khác của
Yes.
quý, quả một người kìa, lu kia khác của quý à? Thảo thao thì nói thẳng,
And Xiaomin, if you don't mind just moving to a quiet space, that
lu
would be
kia
great
khác á.
because we can hear some of that background noise there. So yeah, so that's Xiaomin's situation. What's your
Yep.
recommendation, Lindsay? How should she begin?
Well, I'm sure we have a lot of people who are in a situation where they have been laid off. I have certainly been through a layoff, Jeremy. I don't know if you ever have.
Yeah.
And it's a really hard thing to go through. So, first and foremost is to accept that this has happened and that it's a really hard thing to do. And if you need to eat some ice cream or watch some Netflix or complain about it to your friends, do that because it is a really crummy thing to happen. So, number one, I just want to acknowledge that as someone who has been through it and ate a lot of frozen yogurt with rainbow sprinkles. Second thing that I will say is the quicker you can move to a place of action, the better. And I think momentum is a really important theme for job seekers, really a theme for anything. But any way that Jeremy was laid off from a kindergarten teaching job. There's a story I want to hear there, but I'm going to
Yeah,
pull it
yeah.
down for the moment. I want to talk about momentum. I believe really strongly in taking action every single day when you are in a job hunt. It can feel really daunting, especially when you're going from a full time role into a job hunt and it wasn't what you wanted or anticipated. So, how can you get in a space of taking action every single day? And a couple of steps to that. Number one, Jeremy's going to talk about LinkedIn and finding opportunities. So certainly you want to do that. But I think finding a community of people who are also job hunting is a really helpful daily step. So I know a lot of job hunters who have had group chats on WhatsApp or on text. They've come to webinars like this and connected with other people. They've joined groups on LinkedIn so that you're really part of people where it becomes normal that you are job hunting and you're doing it every day together and you're inspiring each other with ideas and action. And the third thing that I want to share from a mindset perspective is you can't control a lot of this. So I want you to think about controlling what you can. You can't control who else is job hunting, what the economy is doing, whether jobs are ageist or biased or don't want to hire somebody who's been through a particular situation. You have to kind of get all of that out of your head and decide to simply take the actions that you can. So, number one, take action every day. Number two, find a community of people who are also doing this to support each other. And number three, really focus on controlling what you can in the process. I hope that was helpful. Jeremy, what would you add for Xiaomin?
Yeah, absolutely. And I got to be honest, like one of the things that is my kryptonite as a former career coach at University of Michigan is I'm so bad at the touchy-feely stuff. But I will say that there is something about getting that momentum going for you, where you have people who are interested in talking with you, whether it's an alum who wants to share their experience or a recruiter who wants to do a phone screen or whatever it is. And so, absolutely spend time on that emotional side. But if you can give yourself that reminder that you are valued by the world, you have really powerful things to offer, and you're seeing that in your inbox every day, that can often be a really good medicine as well. Xiaomin, any thoughts about what Lindsay and I just shared there, or any additional questions you have?
I agree with what you guys said. Like it's like because I have been constantly looking for jobs every single day, applying every day, and I've been through interviews that I haven't heard back. So I'm just like agree with you guys that consistency is key.
Yeah. Any way to handle those awful rejection emails. Dear job seeker, we have received so many applications.
I was just at a conference yesterday for Binghamton University here in New York, and there was a panel of job seekers, and they said their number one complaint was when employers don't keep them posted in the process. So the frustration of not knowing if you're still being considered, I'd rather get rejected than not know. So I think the hardest part is the waiting. And that's where I think the momentum comes in, which is if you have all of your desire in one company and you're waiting to hear from them, you're going to go crazy. If you have 30 opportunities that you're pursuing, one isn't going to upset you as much if you don't hear back. So I think if you keep the momentum going, I hate that employers don't give people information and we can't control that. What we can control is keeping the opportunities coming. But Xiaomin, I just want to say, and there's so much support in the chat, which I love, and we have awesome people on this webinar. The fact that you raised your hand immediately when Jeremy asked for a volunteer, that to me says a lot about you, that you are not going to sit around and wait for things to happen. You are going to take action. So keep that going. And I think that will work really well for you. Thank you.
Oh yeah, I love that, Lindsay. I mean, Xiaomin, you've got so many guts because out of 1,000 people in the world, you were the first person to put that hand up. If I was a hiring manager in finance or any industry, that's who I want on my team. So I see big things ahead for you. That being said, do me a favor, Xiaomin. Shoot me a message right on LinkedIn, or actually, I'll just give you my email address because that's probably easier. Let me know when you're ready for that profile makeover, and I'll get to work helping you stand out. Okay, Xiaomin?
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you, Xiaomin. And for everyone out there, I know this concept of ghost jobs is just so painful. The idea of like, why have I not heard back? Are they real? Just to explain a little bit of what's happening on the recruiter side, the Wall Street Journal just did this great story actually yesterday where they looked into what's happening behind the scenes. So here's a free link to that article if you want to check it out. I know it's small solace, but at least it gives you a sense of what's happening in the black box so we can make sense of it. Okay, thanks so much, Lindsay. Thanks so much, Xiaomin. If you've got questions on anything that Lindsay just shared, feel free to put those in the chat. Be happy to take a bunch of questions. For now, let's go on to our next pop quiz. And this is as follows. So imagine now that you're going through your job search journey and you're like, okay, I'm ready. I'm in the right mindset. I'm in the right sort of headspace. What job am I going to apply for? Now, why do you think it might be important to have a really clear focus search? Like I'm going after this role or that role versus any other role. Is it A, because it speeds up your search, and so you get your first offer faster? Is it B, because it leads to more success, and you're actually going to get more offers total? Or is it C, that it actually leads to more satisfaction, and you're happier once you have the job? So A, B, or C. What are you seeing, Lindsay? What's your sense of the chat?
Oh gosh, all over the map on this one, Jeremy.
It's
All
true.
over the map, and it looks a lot like Jim Carrey here. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Very dedicated Jim Carrey fans like myself will recognize this as the Cable Guy, mid-90s classic. That being said, it is indeed all of the above, as Nikki K said. Very good, Nikki. And whether you're looking at data from the government, from startups, from the world's largest HR organization, every organization is clear. When you are focused, you are more likely to be successful. And as a result, what I would love to do next is to help one lucky job seeker find that perfect path. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lower all the hands. Go ahead and raise your hands right now. And our next volunteer is going to be Noah. So Noah Martins, go ahead and unmute your line. And everyone give Noah so much love for being our awesome next volunteer. Welcome, Noah. Let's do this for your benefit and the benefit of every job seeker out there. Welcome, Noah.
Thank you, everyone.
Hey, you're getting tons of love, Noah. So just know that you're in a zone of support here.
Thank
Okay,
you. By the way, I think that clip wasn't from the Cable Guy. I think it
was
was
it
from
Bruce Almighty?
Yeah, I think it was
Okay.
from Bruce Almighty because in that movie, he basically like used a computer to like when he was God, when his character Bruce was like had God's powers, he basically used a computer to like keep like a messages of all the people praying to him.
I love that. And
Jeremy, I'm going to say
Yeah.
Dylan and Cortland in the chat also identified that.
I was about to say that. They
Thank you
totally
all
busted me.
for fact checking our friend Jeremy here.
That's right. I
Like,
know.
And also, Cable Guy came out in '96, so I'm not sure if a computer like that like was really
He's
out of
right. It would have been like a big bulky monitor. I love that, Noah. Oh my goodness. Lindsay is a generational expert. That's like one of the things she talks to schools and corporations about. So I won't make too many assumptions here based on generation, but that was a great call out. Okay, Noah, tell us about yourself. Where are you in your job search? What are you thinking about in terms of next steps?
Well, I'm just starting my job search. I'm almost done with college. I'm in my fourth year, and I went to a career fair. I got a bunch of stuff,
Yeah,
and my mom's trying to help me out to find a job. And I'm a little nervous because it might be kind of a hard search,
yeah.
but
Well,
hopefully I will be able to find a good job. I am also a data science major in my college.
whoa, nice. So I've got to say, just like Lindsay was commenting for Xiaomin, the fact that you are a senior in college and you had the guts to show up to this event to raise your hand, that's incredible. When I was
My
a
mom was
senior in
actually the one who
college,
showed me the link.
okay. Oh my
I
goodness.
want to try to be like a little less codependent on my job search as it goes on.
Um, so let us know, Noah, a little bit about yourself. So you mentioned that you're a data science major, which is amazing. Obviously, a super exciting space to be in. Tell us even beyond the major, like what are you excited about? What do you spend your free time on? What do you love doing? Just give us a little bit of a flavor for that.
Well, I really like video games.
Yep.
I really like math. I like I like really good at math.
Yeah.
And one thing that I like is graphic design as well. So I think I've made like graphic design stuff on Canva,
Yeah.
like fake DVD covers, like and other
Whoa.
types of designs. So like I could have the graphic design part be like, backup plan
I
if I'm not really like satisfied with with a certain data science job I get.
Well, no, I got to tell you, as someone who's a senior in college who knows about monitors in the 90s and still knows what DVDs are, I'm very impressed.
Of
With that
course, I
being
know what
said,
DVDs are. Like,
of course, yeah.
you mean DVDs aren't as VHS like when that came in
Hey, see, we're going to be talking
2006?
about Betamax and 8-track. No, let's use some more modern technology to get started. And I got to tell you, Noah, I am so jealous of you because even though it may feel tough to start out, you've got this incredible support structure, not just your mom, not just your school, but you have the power of AI to help you boil the ocean of opportunity. So let's do this. We'll
Well, I
say,
don't want to use AI in a way that feels like cheating.
oh, yeah, yeah. We're not talking about like writing cover letters or resumes, and we can talk more about why that would be a bad idea later on. We're talking about using it as a brainstorming helper, which is what we all need, whether you're a senior in college or you're taking the last job of your career. So watch this. We're going to say, I'm a data science major um, with a passion for gaming, math, and graphic design. What are 10 entry-level job titles that match my skills and interests? And the reason we're not just starting with your major and saying, oh, go be a data scientist, is because there's more to life than that. One of the biggest sort of mistakes that students make is, I have to have the same job that is listed in my major, when in fact, there are all these things you could be doing out there in the world that might be an even better fit. So obviously, you've heard of data analyst, you've heard of data scientist, but what about being a game developer or doing what they call BI or user experience or data visualization, especially given your interest in graphics? There are so many ways to really build a great career that's not just an obvious one, but slightly boring, but is instead really specific to who you are. So to make this more interesting, Noah, let's think about what you're looking for out of your career. If you had to give me like the top three things that are most important to you, whether it's work-life balance, travel, compensation, what's important to who you are, Noah?
Um, I'd like first I'd like a moral company that's willing to treat its employees like fairly and like not really try to extort other people. I want a company that's where working can be like as fun as it is a job, at
Mm,
least to some extent.
yeah,
And I'd like one where I don't have to work like super long. Oh, I thought of a different third one. One that
yeah,
pays
okay,
has adequate pay.
yeah,
You know,
absolutely, yeah,
it
decent
kind of lumps into
compensation.
this first thing, but I think having I want a job that could sustain myself without me getting a second job like a lot of people have to do.
Yeah. And check this out. You'll appreciate this as a data science major. ChatGPT is no way in no way as talented as you are, but it can write a little basic Python to start to think through how do you stack rank these roles, apples to see not just if they're a great role in general, but if they're a great role for you in particular. And you can see there are trade-offs with everything in life. Some roles pay more, but they demand more. Some roles pay less, but they give you a little more work-life balance. So if you were to think about these roles a little bit, which of these 10 roles is really intriguing to you, Noah, where you want to sort of dig in and learn more about what it's like?
Well, the data visualization specialist sounds neat. So
Yeah,
does a junior game designer,
absolutely.
possibly a data analyst. That could be fun as well.
Yeah, tons of cool stuff. So now,
Maybe marketing data.
yeah, and we can go into all of them, but let's start by finding your tribe, the people who want to support you even though they don't know you yet. So Noah, where are you about to graduate from in a few short months?
Worcester Polytechnic Institute. I'm from
Hey,
Massachusetts.
WPI, baby. All right. I love that. My brother-in-law went to WPI, so I'm a big fan. And check this out.
Cool.
We at LinkedIn, when I was working there, were big fans of all schools because what we built, and Lindsay knows this because she worked with us very closely, is this alumni tool. So you can come in here and say, hey, for WPI, show me 50,000 alumni. Now I'm going to put the WPI link in. And by the way, you're getting a lot of WPI love from Abraham and Julia. And you can do this for any school in the world. And you say, hey, show us of all those 50,000 alums who does work with data visualization or game design or whatever it might be. And you will be shocked to discover that you have over 1,000 alums at Dell, Pratt& and Whitney, Google, Raytheon, Amazon. And you can come right on down here and say, hey, what is it like to do data visualization at Microsoft? Obviously, at the cutting edge of AI and machine learning. And you go over here and you connect, you send William a note, and before you know it, you're off to the races, getting a chance to learn from William's experience. Now, only one question for you, Noah, and then I'll let you off the hot seat. If you're going to chat with this guy, William, over here, what do you want to ask him to discover if William is a really good fit for what you're looking for?
I'd ask him, um, hmm, like, what was his experience with data science
Yeah,
like in his job?
yeah,
And does he feel like it's a good career path based on like after I really interview him and explain who I am?
yeah. How did you go from WPI to Microsoft?
Yeah.
What do you do all day? Who do you work with? And now, this is the ultimate full circle moment. We're going to bring it back to your North Star. So, what we're going to say, Noah, is we're going to say, here's a little hack. We're going to go to more. We're going to download William's entire profile because we need to teach ChatGPT who William is. And watch this. This is my last hack for you. We upload that file from our computer. Here's William's whole profile. We say, what are 10 questions for this alum to help me decide if his role matches my skills, interests, and goals? And Noah, does ChatGPT know about your skills, interests, and goals?
Um, in a sense, yeah. You
It
texted
absolutely
me.
does, because unlike our friends and significant others, especially our significant others, ChatGPT is actually listening. It's actually paying attention. And so it remembered everything you said. And so, for example, if you were really excited about a chance to do really creative work, to have good compensation, to understand what the culture is like, it's going to feed that into these questions to make sure that you're focused. Oh, and by the way, I got to say, Steve Dalton himself is on the line right now. So please, please, please join that 2 hour job search group that I was just telling you about, because it really is probably the best way to get that amazing support as you go through this journey. Big shout out to Steve. Um, and highly encourage you to check out this group. There's that link. Okay, so bottom line, Noah, I want to give you a little challenge. I want you to talk to folks like the Williams of the world, and then I want you to come back to me and let me know when you are ready for a deep dive into your profile. And I would love to make it stand out, not just in a generic sense, but around a role that you're excited about. Does that make sense, William? Or excuse me, does that make sense, Noah? My apologies.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so there, you've got your homework. I know the last thing you want as a senior in college is more homework, but Noah, you rocked the house today. I am so impressed with where you already are at the start of your career. Please tell your mom she did real good. She has raised a great son. Thank you so much, Noah.
Well,
Hey,
you're
Jeremy, can
welcome.
I jump in on
Yeah,
a
and
couple?
Lindsay, please add some more. Add some more.
Yeah, so the ChatGPT is blowing people's minds, and I want to add some human elements to this
Yes,
as well.
yes.
Obviously, we're humans using AI. But because Noah is in a college setting, and Jeremy, you and I have so much experience in that world, don't forget about your college career center. We have a
Yeah.
lot of people from college career centers here on the call. Another way to find alums who have followed the path you've done, who've had your major, who are going on to the kinds of companies that you're interested in, those people are also accessible through your career center. So if you've even never been there, no problem. If you've already graduated, no problem. They will still serve you as an alum. Send an email, connect with someone in the career center, and basically use the same prompts that you used with ChatGPT. Here's what I'm interested in. Here are the companies that I like. Could you connect me with anyone who has graduated or other current students? And remember that that is a service that's available to you, usually for free, as an undergraduate or a graduate as well.
Yeah, and I want to build upon that, Lindsay, because Sheila just shared this stat. Only 50% of students use career centers. Here's the crazy thing that we learned when I was at LinkedIn, because they did a survey of all these students. Two-thirds of American college seniors said they plan to go to their career center for the first time in the spring semester before they graduated. So don't wait until the last possible minute. Get in there, build that relationship. Let these amazing folks guide your journey. Beautifully said, Lindsay. Thank you so much. Okay, for now, let us move on to our next pop quiz, and that is as follows. We've talked a little bit about LinkedIn. If you had to guess, how much do you think having a complete LinkedIn profile increases your odds of getting an interview? Is it a little bump, like 22%? A really big bump, like 52%? Or a massive bump, like 102%? So what do you think people are saying here, Lindsay? What's your sense of the crowd?
Ooh, a lot of B's. I
A
think
lot of
people
views.
are going with B.
Okay, so somewhere in the middle. It's always a safe place to hide out. Well, it turns out if you are entry level, if you are in Noah's boat, that actually it is 102%. Now, Lindsay, you have been a hiring manager. I've been a hiring manager. I will tell you right now that when I'm scrambling to go to an interview because I didn't do my homework, I didn't read the resume, what's the first thing I do before I step into the interview room? I look at their LinkedIn
LinkedIn
profile.
profile.
And so it's not about, oh, LinkedIn is some magic thing, but it is the source of truth that represents you in the world. It is your business card of 2025. So it's crazy not to tell your story well. And with that being said, I want Lindsay to connect with an amazing volunteer to sort of talk about how do you tell that story in a powerful way. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to lower all the hands. Raise your hand if you want to volunteer. And our next volunteer is going to be Gavin Wong. So, Gavin, feel free to unmute your line, and everyone give Gavin tons of love because he's going to help us really understand how to tell our stories in a powerful way. Welcome, Gavin.
Hi, Jeremy. Hi, Lindsay. Yeah, thank you so much for the session. Really nice to meet both of you. I am a first year in college, so
Whoa.
really trying to navigate this job search journey early. I'm quite interested in AI and biotech. I'm also quite interested in finance and consulting. So I'm really looking at the initial networking phase, how I should start approaching internships and building my resume and things like that.
Wow, Lindsay, I am just blown away here. I mean, like to have the courage and guts to show up that way when you're just starting out your career, that's incredible. So, Lindsay, I'll let you drive the conversation, but I just can't wait to see where we can help Gavin get here.
Gavin, I feel like you are clay in our hands to mold you from your first year of university. But I also want to say everything I am telling you is for the over 50 crowd
Yes,
as well. I think a
yes.
lot of the job search advice focuses on people who are entry level. I've certainly written books about it myself, but I know that we have people here from all different ages and stages. So I want to be really broad in the advice. So, Gavin, number one, visit your college career center. If you start going your first year, you are golden. And I think one of the ways that we start to tell our story is we start to hear other people's stories. So anyone who's a job seeker, and Jeremy demonstrated this really beautifully with the LinkedIn alumni tool and with I want you to do what I call using envy or jealousy as a tool. I want you to think about people you really admire and say, oh my God, I wish I could be Jeremy Schifeling, or what did Jeremy do? Or who is that person? And I want you to study the people whose careers you admire and the people whose careers look like what you think you might want your career to look like. And this can change 1,000 times over the course of your career. But I think sometimes, and I have heard people say, Jeremy, I'm sure you have too, job seekers say, I don't like to go on LinkedIn when I'm job hunting because I feel bad about myself. I get envious of other people who are successful. I want you to harness that and look at their profiles. How do they describe themselves in the profile headline? What is the first sentence of their LinkedIn profile? This is such a gift because you don't have to make it up from scratch. You can look at exactly what other people have done and use that, apply it to your own stories. So I want to start thinking about your LinkedIn profile headline. To me, what I love about LinkedIn is it's this moment, no matter who you are, where you get to put a stake in the ground and say, this is what I most want you to know about me. It is your headline, just like in the news. And I want it to start with what you want. A lot of people make a mistake, I think, of starting with where they are. I'm an engineer, but I really want to be a consultant. So their headline says engineer. No, I want your headline to say consultant with an engineering background. Maybe you are a student with interest in consulting, banking, and biotech, right? So I want those words to stand out immediately as a signpost to other people. This is what I'm doing now, but this is what I want. And when you tell your story in your profile summary on LinkedIn, in a cover letter, when you apply to jobs, in an email that you send to an alum that you're networking with, don't tell them where you were born and what you did in fourth grade and what you're majoring in. Start with what you want. I'm really interested in biotech and would love to speak with you about a career, and then go into your history. So bottom line up front, start with what you want and start to go from there and use other people as a guideline. I'm sure you have other questions, but Jeremy, I want you to jump in here as
Yeah,
well.
and I was thinking that this might be a really good chance to actually talk through a live profile.
Yeah,
So,
let's do it.
Gavin, I know this is asking a lot, but would you be willing to share your profile if you've got one, just so we can give you really specific feedback and also make it useful for everyone else?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Should
That's
I
great.
should I put the link in the chat?
Yeah, and guess what? If you put your link in the chat, you'll probably get a bunch of new connections as well. So it's a great way to boost your network as you start your career.
While you're doing that, Gavin, I want to share a little personal anecdote, which is sometimes we are the worst at telling our own story. I literally teach this stuff, as Jeremy and many other people on the call do. And I ended up trying to build my speaking business. And I went to a marketing consultant and said, I really want to build my business as a keynote speaker. And she said, well, I'm looking at your LinkedIn profile and you don't say the word keynote anywhere. What are you doing? And so we find that we know in our heads what we want, but we forget to tell the rest of the world that's what we're interested in. So now the word keynote, you can't go an inch on my website without seeing it. But even I didn't realize that I wasn't telling my story in the right way. So here's Gavin.
Yeah, and check this out, Lindsay. He is a
Gavin!
fellow Bulldog. Oh my goodness. I'm going to say,
Bula Bula Gavin, welcome. Class of
Gavin,
96 here. Good to
did we
meet you.
pick you ahead of time? Did we like organize this or set this up?
No, I found out about the session 5 minutes before it started.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
really
Okay.
happy to be here.
The
Yeah.
power of
Gavin, I'm so glad to have
serendipity.
Yale, and we've got some folks here from the Yale Office of Career Strategy. So I suggest you
Woohoo.
connect with Kelly here. But Gavin, tell us about your profile and how you put this together, and we'll give you a little coaching.
Cool. Yeah. So this is a very bare bones profile. I've just tried to include like in some initial college experience I've had. So yeah, like first experience there, I'm part of the Yale undergraduate consulting group. So I'm now the associate head of client affairs for the group. So I'm looking at reaching out to pitching projects to, Fortune 500 companies, setting up paid projects for the team, things like that.
We've got the education section,
Yeah,
got
and
some
then education, a
licenses.
couple
Yeah.
of online courses I've done, more in the AI machine learning front. And yeah.
Wow, did you really ace the SAT, Gavin?
Uh, yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Oh, oh my goodness. And he's humble too. All right, Lindsay. What's your take here?
Okay, so first and foremost, Gavin, I really like that you have put your leadership positions in student activities directly in the experience section. So that is a recommendation for everybody. if you have a leadership role or you are doing real professional work in a nonprofit, at your child's school, in your community, at your religious organization, as a student, that is experience. So bravo, Gavin, for doing that. I want to call that out. Jeremy, do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's one of those things where so often people in Gavin's situation are coming with this deficit mindset. I don't have any experience. I have nothing to offer. I was like, what about that stuff that kept you up all last night where you were working super hard to make your big impact in the world? That absolutely belongs in the first place the recruiters are going to look, which is experience.
Yeah. So let's go back up to your headline. I'm going to make a bold statement, which is I think this is the single most important piece of real estate in your job hunt. Because as Jeremy said, everybody looks up everybody. And that to me is what you want me to know in a nutshell. That is your billboard. And I think we can do a little bit of work here. What you have is not wrong, but I think what you have here could be a little bit more specific. So I'm not sure when I look at your headline if you work at Yale or if you are a student at Yale. So I would say Yale student or first year Yale student, student at Yale University. And I'm a really big fan of using vertical lines or commas to really make things stand out. I'd probably put Yale student first, although up to you, Jeremy, and up to you, Gavin, because I think that is going to be your biggest headline and selling point. If you were in your final year, I might not, but because you are still going to be a student for the foreseeable future, I think that's helpful. I like statistics, data science, and molecular biology if those are the careers that you want to go into. So you talked about biotech. I might put biotech instead of molecular biology, or you can have your major there, and then after the vertical line, you can put interested in biotech, consulting, AI, investment banking, whatever it is. You want to have little signposts there to people in those industries to say, wait, why is this guy reaching out to me? Oh, I see it right there in his headline that he is interested in my field. Now, when it comes to your headline, this is your canvas. There's no wrong way to do it, but I approach it as how do I put signposts in my headline that tell people what I want them to know? And for those who have had 30-year careers, 40-year careers, I hereby grant you permission to remove anything that you don't want to do anymore. Just because you were an accountant for a decade, if you don't want to do it anymore, you have permission to take it out and focus on where you are. Jeremy, you're the guru of LinkedIn. So what would you add here?
Yeah, and the only thing I'll add is I think there's this human element, but there's also an algorithmic element. And so if you understand that LinkedIn's algorithm absolutely prioritizes the headline because it's the shortest section on your profile and it's the hardest to game, you'll realize it's not just important to say who you are, it's important to match the exact things that recruiters are searching for. So in your case, Gavin, I might go over to ChatGPT and I might say, what are the top 10 biotech keywords that I'm missing from my profile? And again, you can use that technique that we were talking about before, where you come over here to more, you download the PDF, you upload it in ChatGPT. And now, if you're trying to really make sure that you make the most of that real estate, you're going to be able to figure out the exact thing that recruiters are searching for and the exact things that you're missing, like genomic data analysis, biopharmaceutical, regulatory affairs. Chances are you're working on all these things in your classes, so you want to get credit for them right there where it counts. Back to you, Lindsay.
The last thing I would add on that is don't get too clever. If you want a job as a freelance writer, don't put that you are a creative wordsmith because nobody's looking up wordsmith. They're looking up the word writer. So you can use that in your profile. But to Jeremy's point in the headline, remember that people are searching on these words. So you want to be really specific and clear.
Love it. Okay, Gavin, any questions about what you've just seen or mysteries about the world of LinkedIn that Lindsay can help unravel?
Yeah, I just had one last question about LinkedIn, which is how would you recommend going about coffee chatting, networking, and really reaching out for internships? Like, are people responsive if you just ask for a job opportunity? Should I try to like set up an initial call first? How should I approach that?
Yes, I'm going to quote our friend Steve Dalton, who is now the mascot of this webinar for me and Jeremy. Steve said something to me that was really powerful. If you reach out to 10 people and ask them for coffee, Gavin, and let's say nine ignore you or say no, and one says yes, as Steve says, and I couldn't agree more, that one person who says yes will be more valuable than the other nine combined. One person who is really committed and wants to help you will be a gold mine. So, what I would do is reach out to people, start with your Yale network, start with your high school network, start with someone you have some kind of commonality with. But here's the thing, you have to be specific. So if you reach out to me and say, Lindsay, you went to Yale, I went to Yale, I was on your webinar, that's an easy yes. If I get a letter from you that feels like you're writing Dear Occupant and I feel like you've reached out to me because I was next on the alphabet, that's not going to feel good. So show people that you have put in a little bit of effort. I read your latest blog post. I looked at your profile and saw that you volunteered for this organization. The more you humanize your outreach, the more people are going to say yes. And the ones who say no, let them go, because the ones who do talk to you are going to be incredibly valuable. I also want to say to anyone who's nervous about reaching out, people do this all the time. Don't hesitate. This is how business is done. And people who don't want to do it will say no. There is absolutely no harm in asking yes, 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 yes.
And then one last question, Lindsay, and this is important because we have so many younger folks on the line. Why would someone who's old and successful ever want to talk to a young person? Like, what's in it for them? Are they trying to get some kind of opportunity out of it? What's going on here?
First of all, you're giving them a gift, which is you want their wisdom. And it feels really good to feel like you have something to offer to somebody else if you have something in common with them. When I hear you go to Yale and I went to Yale, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to talk about campus and what college you're in and the dining halls and all that. It's a gift to make a human connection. Number two, and this is really important, particularly for those who are not students. I think it's easy for a student to ask an alum for help. But if you are 30 years into your career and you're feeling like, I don't know if this is cool, number one, people often want to help. But number two, if I know about a job opportunity with someone I know who's hiring, it is really hard to find good talent. So if I speak to you and you're a remarkable job seeker and I can be the one who introduces you to another person I know who needs someone and you get the job and you are awesome, I look good.
Yeah.
And so there's actually a transactional piece where not only am I feeling good by helping, I also might fill a job for somebody, and that burnishes my reputation as well. So don't feel that you are lesser than for asking someone for help. This is how the world works, and a lot of people are happy to do it. And I know that you'll do it and pay it forward when you have a job and want to help somebody else.
Woohoo. I can see that, Lindsay, you have set in motion this domino rally of bulldogs helping generation after generation. Huge props, Gavin, to having the guts to raise your hand. And what I would love to do is I'm going to send you that list of keywords that we just generated in ChatGPT. So you have a little bit of a homework assignment yourself. Get credit for those keywords if you have them already. And then let me know when you're ready, and I'll come back for that makeover. Okay, Gavin?
All right, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Jeremy
Oh,
and Lindsay. It's been really helpful. Thank you so much.
go, Gavin. All right, everyone give some love to our guy, Gavin. He rocked it. And now it is time for
Gavin
our...
needs more connections,
I
Jeremy.
know, I know. We
I
got to
think we
pump
should
him up
get that
here.
up for Gavin.
Okay, if you have not done so already, please do connect with our friend Gavin. He's clearly going big places, so hop on that magic carpet ride. Okay, that being said, time for our final pop quiz. At the end of the day, if you are a recruiter and you're faced with this really daunting choice, you have one interview slot left, but three equally strong candidates. Who gets it almost every single time? Is it candidate A who applied on your website? Candidate B who came in via LinkedIn? Or candidate C who was referred by someone on your team? Lindsay, what is everyone saying here?
I think everyone knows the right answer here is C.
That's right. Now, you are absolutely right, but let me explain the paradox of this that still confounds me to this day. And that is, we all know that referrals matter. That's been banged into our heads by our career coaches from day one. And yet, 75% of all people do not get a referral. They go right to their local career site, their local job board, they apply online the same way everyone does, and they get the same lousy results that online applicants always get. And yet, if you look at that tiny top line, the fewer than 1 in 10 candidates who are getting referred, they are getting the vast plurality of the one thing we all want, which is they're getting hired. So our last sort of challenge for us to solve together is how to get your way onto the inside, even if you're an international student, even if you're coming from a totally different culture. How do you get your foot in the door to get that extra advantage? So if you want the final profile makeover, raise your hand loud and proud, and our final volunteer is going to be Agnes. So Agnes, thank you so much for volunteering. Everyone give Agnes tons of love in the chat. And Agnes, come on down for our final session. Welcome, Agnes.
Hi there. Thank you. Thank you so much for hosting this.
Oh, thank you for joining, Agnes. And because this is going to be the last thing that we do today, I want to end with some fireworks. So don't go easy on me, Agnes. Tell me the
Okay.
name of an organization you would like to join someday that is super hard to break into.
Apple?
Oh, of course. It literally feels like a fortress, right? To get into that spaceship over there in Cupertino, surrounded on all sides, somehow we've got to vault on in. Now, Agnes, tell me this. Do you happen to know anyone at Apple already?
Nope.
Good, because
Uh,
if you said I know 20 people, I'd say, Agnes, what are you doing on this call? Go start talking to your friends. But this is better because here's the big question, Agnes. Do you believe in your heart that you can get a referral at Apple even if you don't know anyone today?
yeah.
Okay, good. Because that's the biggest myth. I think if you try to understand what's going on in this graph, the reason that we don't get referrals, even though we know they're important, is we don't believe we can get them. We say, I don't know anyone at Google. I don't know anyone at NIH. Therefore, I'm an outsider. Nothing could be further from the truth. So let's do this. I want everyone to join me on your LinkedIn. Put in your dream employer, whether it's the EPA, whether it's Google, whatever it is. And then you're going to put in that company's name, and you will discover that for any organization in the world, they have a page on LinkedIn. And if you click on the number of employees, you have a back door to what is essentially a company directory that is more detailed than the one sitting on their servers inside the spaceship. How does that sound so far, Agnes?
Sounds good.
Okay, so you've got this list of all these people, and I will tell you, as a former Apple employee myself, this is more detailed than the information that Apple has on its own employees because LinkedIn just knows more about these people than their own employer does. That being said, we have 161,000 people who could refer you someday. How do you want to filter this list, Agnes, for the people who have something in common with you? What should we filter for?
The people who, well, actually, I'm interested in breaking into people analytics.
Oh,
So,
super cool.
maybe filter by title.
Yeah, we can definitely do that, and we'll get there. But remember, just like Lindsay was talking about, we want to start with that human element. Not just, oh, you and I match in terms of job title, but you and I match on this deeper, more fundamental level. Something about who you are that binds you to someone inside Apple. What do you think that might be? And if anyone knows, feel free to throw in some ideas.
Same
I
school.
yeah, I see Ty saying that too, by university. So where did you go to school, Agnes?
I went to Queens College,
Oh,
CUNY.
beautiful. I love that. My wife taught at Brooklyn
New York
College.
City.
Yeah, there we go. NYC in the house. To come over here to Queens College. Look at this. Even though Queens is on the other side of the country, there are 100 people inside Apple who are Queens alums. Okay, so we've got these great folks. Now we want to reach out. Let's go to someone like Jason over here. And if we want to strike up a conversation with Jason, we have a couple options. We can do what we were talking about before, where we hit connect and we add a note. But remember, even though we've got Queens in common, we're still reaching out cold. And what's your intuition, Agnes, about cold outreach? Do you think Jason is likely to respond if he's never heard from you before and you're coming to him out of the blue?
Probably not.
Yeah, so better chance than if he was a total stranger, because you do have Queens in common, but not necessarily 100%. On the other hand, this is a crazy boast, but I want to make it. There is something on the screen right now that is even more powerful than Queens that will allow you to go to Jason with a warm intro, not with cold outreach. Any idea what that powerful thing is? If you're
Mutual
not,
connection.
yes, and Graydon got that, and William got that in the chat. This is the true beauty of LinkedIn. Yes, you could hack into Apple servers. You could illegally download their corporate directory. You could discover everyone who works there, but you still would not have this invisible web of connections that binds you together because only LinkedIn knows that. So let's do this. Let's reach out to Rob. Let's reach out to Madeline and say, hey, could you please introduce us to Jason? I'd love to chat with this fellow Queens alum. Now, Rob goes over to Jason, says, Jason, I've got this incredible new grad, Agnes. She is absolutely going to be a rock star in the world of people analytics, but she's thinking about going to Google or Facebook or Netflix. If she goes there and you miss out on her, you're going to regret it till your dying day. At that point, what are your chances of Jason responding to your message, Agnes?
Probably from 0% to 70.
Yeah, I would say a lot higher in my experience. So that again is the same thing that drives referrals, which is we trust the people we know. We trust the people who are members of our tribe, and that's a great thing that LinkedIn will help you access. Now, you have a guaranteed chat with this insider. What are you going to do in this conversation, Agnes? Are you going to come in guns blazing and say, Jason, you went to Queens, I went to Queens, you know Rob, I know Rob, give me a referral? Is that the strategy?
Nope.
No way. What's a way better approach that's way more humanistic, way less transactional?
Maybe ask about their career journey. If I go, yeah,
Yeah. How did you
see
go
their
from
education.
how did you go from Queens all the way up to Apple? How did you break in? How do you know Rob? Basically building all these human ties. And then when Jason has to run to his next busy meeting, maybe he's got Tim Cook on the line over there. What do you say before he walks out of that conversation, Agnes, and potentially out of your life forever? How do you plant the seed that might one day lead to a referral?
Ask for his email and to stay in touch here and there from time to time.
Yeah, you can definitely keep that conversation going. Now, here is the power question. I want you to write this down because this is based on what Lindsay just said. I want you to have the confidence to say to Jason, Jason, this has been amazing. You've blown my mind with all this insider info. One last question before you go. If you were back in my shoes, coming out of Queens, trying to break into Apple for the first time, what would you be doing to get the best shot of an interview? And there's something about that generativity, that nostalgia, whatever it is, that seems to shake loose opportunity. Where Jason's going to say something like, hey, I got referred, my whole team was referred. The reality is that referrals are the way in. And then he either says, hey, send me your resume. Maybe I can refer you. Maybe I can get a referral bonus. Or let's stay in touch. Maybe I can refer you down the line. Either way, Agnes, once Jason has opened up that door just a little crack, are you ready to bust on through?
Yeah.
Okay, I love that, Agnes. Now, Agnes, I want you to do me a huge favor. Shoot me an email right after the session. I will not only give you a profile makeover, I'm happy to introduce you to some Apple employees that I used to work with to get your foot in the door. How does that sound?
I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Agnes. You are fabulous, and I cannot wait to celebrate your success. Go, Agnes. Go, CUNY. Go, NYC. Thanks so
Hey,
much.
Agnes, I know you were concentrating on Jeremy, but there are also some people in the chat who are former Apple and offered to help you
Oh
as well.
ho! I just gotta say, I've been blown away by the chat, Lindsay. Every time we have a volunteer, someone saying, I've been in biotech for 25 years. I went to WPI. So I hope everyone has a chance to really leverage the power of this network because that is awesome. Okay, before we close up, any final questions, Lindsay, that you saw in the chat? Because I know there were some questions here and there that you
Yeah,
wanted to
I
speak to or things
thought
you wanted to share, maybe around
if
ageism.
anyone wants to post like a little quick speed round, Jeremy, I thought
Yeah,
anyone who already posted a question, if we missed it, post it in. The shorter, the better.
yes.
And we will do maybe like a quick speedy round. Sound
Yeah,
good?
I love that.
Okay,
Okay.
so bring it in. And I love how you're all helping each other as well, but post a question and we'll answer as many as we can. And also just huge shout out to the chat for everybody supporting each other. So go ahead and type your questions into the chat. Looks like we've got one from Kay Fly. Top three things of greatest benefit to international students seeking employment, grad students in particular. Our start with one, career center, career center, career center. There are often people whose entire job is to specifically help students with visas and jobs. Jeremy, you want to add to that?
Yeah. And here's a little hack of that alumni tool. So if you want to figure out who's getting sponsorship in the US, because obviously that's a huge challenge, you say, hey, I did my undergrad studies at IIT Delhi. Show me all the alums who've come over to the United States. So that way I can follow in their footsteps. And what you'll discover is that you've got all these alumni that you can learn from who got sponsorship, who broke through that red tape, and you can really leverage the power of those insiders. Okay, what's our next question, Lindsay?
Next question is, Jeremy, is there a way to reorder LinkedIn recommendations instead of just hiding someone? I want to bring my CEO's recommendation to the top without hiding the others.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think there's a way to do it without hiding. That being said, I do think here's the reality of LinkedIn. You could have 100 recommendations or a million skills or whatever, but the average recruiter is spending 6 seconds on your profile, which means they're not expanding. They're not going to read all that stuff. So just make sure that for every section, your most important keywords are in your skills, your most important recommendations are at your top. Nothing else matters because no one's going to read any deeper. All right, what's next, Lindsay?
All right, advice for finding remote work as opposed to in-person work. I'll start this one and then pass it over to Jeremy. Keywords, 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 keywords. Look for the companies that are putting the word remote or virtual in their job descriptions. I also want to recommend some websites that are specifically designed just for remote work. Flex Jobs, Flex, Flex Jobs is one. Become an expert on all of the places where people are specifically posting remote jobs so that you are going to be swimming in a pond that is going to have the kind of fish that you want. Jeremy.
And the other thing I'll add is one of the big benefits, the little silver lining of COVID, is that for once, every single job board, including LinkedIn and Indeed, got on the remote bandwagon. And as you can see, you can literally just search for remote, for hybrid, for whatever sort of formulation you want. And I'll put that link in the chat if people want to replicate that. All right, maybe time for one last question, Lindsay.
All right. Oh, I love this one. If we are connecting with everyone on this call but don't really know each other, how is there value in those connections? There isn't unless you make it specific and follow up. So if I just click connect Lisa and call it a day, no, there's no value in that except your numbers going up. The value is saying, Lisa, I saw that you posted your LinkedIn on Jeremy and Lindsay's call. That prompted me to look at your profile. I noticed that you have some interest in biotech, and I remember Gavin did too. Would it be helpful if we jumped on the call for 15 minutes to maybe support each other since we might have some connections in common? It's not the connection that has the value, it's the follow-up. Jeremy, what would you add?
Couldn't add anything else there. That is beautiful. Your network is what you make of it. And as with most things in life, it's also a product of what you put into it. So definitely invest some time in that in the new year. Okay, just to recap, because I know everyone's got to run to lunch, they've got to run to a million things that are going on. There are 4 things that we talked about that really are the things to focus on Pareto principle style. It's so easy to get caught up in all the minutia of job searching. Oh, do I have the right card stock for my resume? Is my handshake grip tight enough? Blah, blah, blah. Forget all that nonsense. Focus on getting your head right, finding the path that's right for you, telling the story that recruiters and hiring managers want to understand, and finding people on the inside to go to bat for you. Okay, to support your success, a couple final things. Number 1, Lindsay and I would love to connect with you. So we're going to put our profiles right here in the chat. Feel free to connect. Do send us a message. Here's Lindsay's profile. And then Lindsay, do you want to talk through some of the offerings on your website just to give people a sense of what's possible?
Yes, absolutely free. I send a monthly newsletter. And if you go to this link, lindsaypollock.com/newsletter, I would be delighted to introduce you into my network and receive my career and job hunting advice. I also teach 4 courses on the LinkedIn Learning platform. I have a link on my site for a free trial of LinkedIn Learning. That's great if you're a career changer, if you want to improve your career, if you're looking to educate. Any of these links that say get started will give you a free 30-day link to any LinkedIn course of mine or anybody else's. I'm delighted to connect with anybody on LinkedIn as well. And if you're interested in my full-length book for those who are just starting out, Getting from College to Career, 3rd edition, as well as my other books are available. But thank you all for investing your time. Thank you for supporting each other in the chat. And thank you, Jeremy, for being awesome.
Yeah, I just want to amplify what Marie said. Here's a really good hack to start the new year. If you have used up your LinkedIn Learning free trial, but you're still hungry to learn, head over to your public library because every public library in America, even many around the world, have deals with LinkedIn Learning where you get free access forever as a library member. So tap into Lindsay's expertise, support your local library. Okay, one last thing, because I'm a huge nerd and I have to end with this, is back when I was at Apple, speaking of what Agnes and I were discussing, I had this really crazy experience of being there at the last event that Steve Jobs ever did, because I was an intern that final summer that he was with Apple. One thing I'll never forget is sitting way back in that last row as Steve gets up on the stage. He's a little sick, a little frail. I'm not sure he's going to make it through the whole session. But he not only makes it through the whole session, he blows all our minds by keep going. He pulls out his iPhone and says, hey, I've got one more thing to show you. For the first time in the history of our species, I'm going to talk to my computer, and my computer is going to talk back to me. And of course, that was the day that Siri launched and the beginning of this whole crazy AI journey that we are all on as a species. So in honor of that moment, I can't resist giving you one more thing, which is CareerBot 3000. I wish that Lindsay and I could sit here all day and chat about all these things, but the next best thing to working with your own career coach, your own career center, is check this out. If you come over here and say, hey, I want to work on sustainability. I want a chance to have work-life balance. I want a chance to pay off my student loans. So you know what really matters to you, and you put in your resume. This tool will go through a lot of the steps we were talking about in terms of figuring out the right fit for you. Not just a job that pays the bills, but something that gives you a chance to have the kind of work that you're excited about. So you say, I want to do sustainability marketing in NYC, the greatest city in the world. And then it says, hey, what about working for Patagonia or The Body Shop or Tom's? What about including these keywords in your resume and your profile to get found? What about standing out in the interview room in all these ways? And it turns out that you can use this tool for free forever through the link in the chat. Because what Lindsay and I really want for you is not just to have a great new year, but to have an amazing career doing stuff you love. So do exactly what Steve said, find that path that's right for you, and then go out there and make a big honking dent in the universe. On behalf of Lindsay and myself, thanks to everyone who joined. Here's wishing you an incredible 2025. Here's all.